Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me on the Pixie Dust Designs YouTube channel today. Today we're using the beautiful Lily die set, which is more of a springtime die set for a Christmas card. So I'm going to call this a Christmas lily, and the different parts of this die set are you've got a solid piece, which is your background piece, and then you've got the stem, and then there are several petals, which are different directions, and then you've got the single petal, and then there are additional dies to add detail to the leaves of the stem, and then you've got the stamen. And the color combo on this card today was picked out compliments of this color card, which is from the Color Box. I've had this about 6 months, and I don't really use it as much as I should for the price that I paid for it. And so I thought I'd get that out and try and use that for my colors. All of the die cut pieces are Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I am using Bristol Smooth because I am doing a little bit of coloring with my Zig Clean Color brush markers, and the brush markers work really smoothly on the Bristol Smooth, and so I'm just going to go ahead and color these up according to that color card. And so I'm using a little bit of kind of a bluish gray for the stem, and I'll go ahead and work with this, adding several layers until I'm happy with it. And then for the different petals of the flower, I'm going to use two colors. One's a vermilion, I believe, and then more of a kind of, which I believe is more of a brownish red, and then more of a red color. I'm going to put both of those colors down, just kind of scribbling on the flower near the base. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'll pull that color out. And I'm just going to pull it out a little bit just to mix the colors up. And then you'll see I'll start from the tip to kind of bring that color back in so that the tip is a little bit lighter than the portion of the petal that is more near the center or the base of this. And so next I'll go ahead and take my brush and dry it off, and then run my brush down the petal to remove some of that color, just to add a little bit of light and dark areas. I'm going to go ahead and follow the same process. I actually paint or color three of the flowers and then the single flowers as well. And once I've colored all my pieces, I'm going to go ahead and set those aside and work on my background. And so I've taken a piece of kind of a medium gray cardstock, and I wanted it to be more of a blue gray. And so I am taking some Distress Oxide in Uncharted Mariner. I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm just going to go over the entire background of this card because I will be using a pretty embossing folder for the background. So once I've got that done, I'll go ahead and grab the embossing folder and run this through my die cut machine. And then once I've run that through, I felt like it needed a little more detail, I guess. And so I'm going to grab some white pigment ink and just lightly swipe that over the embossed panel, and that's going to bring out a little more of the detail of those snowflakes. And then I'll go ahead and set that part aside, and now we're going to start assembling the flower. So I'm going to start out kind of manipulating the paper with my fingers a little bit, kind of curling up the sides where the centers of the petals are, and just giving it a little bit of depth. And then I will take my tape runner and add some tape to the back as well as some liquid adhesive. And then this is just going to match up with the base piece. So I'll go ahead and adhere that. And then while I am doing this, I will still go ahead and kind of move those petals around and get them to look more flowy, I guess you could say. And so I'll go ahead and layer all three of the pieces on top of each other. And I will also add two of the single petals. So I'm going to add a single petal here. And then once I've got that adhered, I'll go ahead and add my last piece. And the great thing about this die is you can use or create as many layers of dimension as you want. You can just do the 2 layers in the petal. Here I've done 3 layers and 2 little single petals. So go ahead and add that last piece, and then the stamen, and then that last petal is just going to go over the stamen to kind of hide or make it look like the stamen is kind of sunk into the center of the petal. And then I'm going to go through and just with my fingers, I'm going to manipulate the paper a little bit more to add some more curve and flowiness to the flower. Yeah, you can also, if you have flower making tools, you can use those as well. Those would be good for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I will also add some foam between the layers to make sure those stay popped up. And then to add this to the stem, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the top of that stem and set that down. And then for the background of the card, I wanted to add a little bit more detail, and so I'm going to take 2 square dies in different sizes to create this thin frame that's going to go on top of that pretty snowflake pattern. And then I had a piece of vellum laying around, and I thought I'd go ahead and add that as well. Again, just to add a little more interest to the card. And so I went ahead and I am gluing that a square border down, and then I'm going to take that piece of vellum, and it's going to go over, under, or under, over. So over the left hand side, it's underneath the frame, and then it goes over on top of the right hand side. And then to adhere this, I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of the card and then fold those sides over. I think it gives it a lot cleaner look folding it over rather than just snipping it off of the sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the flower, and that's going to go behind the vellum with the leaves of the stem kind of poking out in the different areas. And then we'll add a little bit of liquid adhesive to secure this. I'm also going to use some foam circles behind those leaves just to make sure they stay popped up. And as far as the sentiment goes, I'm using a sentiment from my stash, so I went ahead and added some foam to the back of that, and I will add that to the card as well. And then as far as adding embellishments to the card, I was kind of torn between sequins or drops, and I hadn't used drops in a while. So I went ahead and I used some Morning Dew drops, which is a clear Nuvo drop first. And then over the top of that, I added some matte white, I believe these are vintage drops. And doing that, I think it helps to keep the drops nice and round and a little bit higher than you would if you just use the drops by themselves without that Morning Dew. And that's going to finish off this card. I hope you enjoyed. The supplies I used will be listed below. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pixie Dust Designs YouTube channel. There is lots of inspiration to be had here. If you like this card, I would love a thumbs up. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.